Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
Oh, man. Well, there's a lot of controversy going on in comics today, folks. Thanks to this. Oh, I know, right? I know. But this AI art stuff, man, I thought we would be solidified in the comics community over it, like it's a bad idea. But then there are, let's see, stream elements. Okay. So I thought that was someone commenting. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about essentially everything going on in comics with this AI art stuff. And me as an artist and Christy as an artist, we think it's wrong. We personally, and we'll get into it. But then there are some writers in comics that don't think it's wrong, and they presented a reason why. And so we're just going to get into it. And yeah, so for you guys new to Comic Pulp, thank you for joining us. And yeah, we love having you guys here. So today, as y'all would have known, that comics are essentially the way we try to make a living. And then other art things that happen as well. You know, whether it's working for a promotional company, an advertising company, well, and whatever. And it's weird saying that because some people don't know the difference between a promotional company and an advertising company because they think it's the same thing and they're not. But when you live in that space, it's a little bit different. But what I think is funny is the AI art system got broke by Christie's demon pitch. So please explain that one to me, because that shit was funny when I found that out.
Well, the thing is that with Demon Bitch, okay, I actually might incorporate it into a Demon Bitch because, like, why not? It's just I make fun of
Right.
it. So what it was is my friend Dallas Hoisington. He's part of one half of Hyde Hermit Studios, and just for shits and giggles. And no, I'm not mad that he did this, guy. So I mean, he just does it just to see what would happen. He's kind of a little asshole like I am sometimes too. So he decided what would happen if he put Demon Bitch in it. I think it was Dolly or Dolly 2 was the AI art program. So they put it in there and essentially took Demon Bitch and it just fucked it up. Like a Habsburg fucking monarch right there. Like just inbred, like looking terrible, just nothing. And it's funny because actually this morning I think I went on Mirka and Dolfo's page, and she was talking about AI art and everything else. And I mean, it wasn't like for or against, like just all of her stuff. She inputted her own art just to see what would come up. And then I wrote down, well, I put in Demon Bitch and it broke everything. And she liked the comment. So I think, because I gave her a copy of Demon Bitch and she knows what it is. So Demon Bitch, A, breaks everything. And B, for me, it's like this. I think the people that really genuinely worry or should be worried is that if they have a more mainstream comic style of their stuff being replicated. And I don't mean this as an insult. It's like Peach Momoko, Kim Jong-gi. These are all artists with their own individual styles, but they're more mainstream. So what does the art program do? It takes off from AI, it takes off from the algorithm, which is more of Kim Jong-gi's type art, Peach Momoko's art, Mirka and Dolfo's art, other people's art, and approximates them. And the thing is that mine can't really be approximated because I draw like extremely weird. Like a lot of people have said, and again, this is not saying Mirka and Dolpho or any of the other artists that are out there that are replicated, they don't have a distinct style. It's not that at all. You look at them side by side, they are different, but there's a certain range, like with Kirby and Ditko and all those guys, like Neil Adams and Perez, like they have a range. There's a range of them not with the same style, but similar attributes to it. And I think people don't get that. And as I said, with writers in AI art, not to presume, but I had to make a joke when you said, well, some writers are okay with it. I said, well, it's hard to talk to people, isn't it? Because, you run into people saying like, oh, I can't talk to people and all that. It's like, well, you probably should learn how to. That's so mean. It's like, well, no, you have to learn how to talk to people, much like learning how to walk and take a shit. Yeah.
And it's funny because when it started getting really exploding, this AI art stuff, my heart kind of broke a little bit because I saw now everyone's doing the AI art thing where they get their portraits done and then they put it on their profiles. And
those are stupid.
And
by the way, guys, I'm an asshole, so they're fucking stupid. Don't do that. Really don't, guys. And there's a lot of artists that are like, starving because we it takes a lot of years to get halfway decent with art, and so when you get it to where people are starting to pay attention and pay you for it, and then now like you've seen this, and this one guy DM'd me. He goes, well, listen, when it comes to it, like technology will always replace jobs. Your great-grandfather, you told me your great-grandfather shoveled coal, but then when we got natural gas in the house, he had to change jobs. And I was like, yeah, but he still worked for the same company. The coal company just became the gas company, and he had to relearn, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like what's going on now, like where these people are inputting an image or inputting words to create the image so that they could, do all this. And honestly, this AI stuff is getting even worse with, apparently there are companies now that have AI persons that will, it looks like an actor, but you just tell it what you want it to say and it'll do the advertisements for you. Deepfakes are a very big thing, like especially in entertainment and politics, because now you can simulate it so convincingly that you could potentially frame somebody. And like I remember one time, not Jordan Peele, he was at an Adobe thing a few years back.
Yeah.
And literally they were showing how easily they could splice audio together. So they took some of his audio. Sorry to interrupt, but they took some of his audio. And literally it made him, even though he never said any of those words, it approximated how his voice was, how he said it. And it literally said, I cheated on my wife last winter. And he like literally fell out of his chair. And they were showing how they did it. Like they had a few sound clips and everything. And they just typed in any sort of sentence they wanted to. And it just sounded like him. Adobe. I forget which one, if it was After Effects or something, but they were showing off their software. But it basically, I mean, it wasn't like they just played the clip. They actually just said, okay, so here we go. And then that's what happened. So I think that actually startled the shit out of him. And it's like, I think we should rightfully be worried in that case, because it's like, okay, if you have to deal with that, then what's going on with that? So I'm not going to go and say, oh, shut up, but I don't know if it'll completely replace artists, but I think definitely it's something that needs to be addressed, because apparently there's been some legal issues, because people also, like Kim Jong-il, after he died, his family did not give consent to his stuff being put in the AI. And that's a little hard to manage, because, you could Google his image and some people just might do it for shits and giggles, but they actually inputted his stuff and, they put him in the AI generator, and it created new Kim Jong-il art apparently. So it's one of those things, like, yes, there are ethical questions to it, but as I said, if it would replace artists completely, I don't think so. I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, because so one of the things that a few artists that I work with noticed, someone showed me like, oh, sometimes when it borrows from someone's art, if they put a watermark on there, the AI will even copy the watermark, and and I was like, dang, and this the ethical question then comes into play for me when it comes to the bigger publishers. Because, let's just be honest. A lot of times, publishers will hold off paying artists or hold off not paying the royalties that they promised to artists, and so on and so forth, or keep products. Oh, demon bitch, demon pitch, demon chicken.
Hey, Quentin.
What's up? What's up, Quentin? But and the fear is if they continue with this AI art where they could just mimic anybody's artwork, and Atrocity Press, what's up, man? And it's the heartbreak of this is a lot of artists are afraid that, like, if you don't think Warner Brothers and Disney, and their subsidiaries of DC and Marvel would not hesitate to use AI art to create cartoons and comic books, properties that will, keep pressing their stories forward, we would all be mistaken. Because at the end of the day, what is the job of a corporation? To make money at the cheapest way possible. And the ethical question then becomes, you want Jack Kirby's art. Jack Kirby's not alive anymore, but then you put his name and then the description of the pages and the panels and the in there, and then this AI system can do it. That brings up a lot of questions. Like, so does that mean we should get people to pay the royalties for the art, that they're swiping? Well,
Tariq also put this up here. If you really examine a lot of these AI-generated pics, you can spot the pieces of original human-created art that it's spliced on. Like from those AI selfies, I recognize some of the pics are sliced in with movie posters like Fast and Furious. So, as I said, it's like what I was saying earlier. They estimate, or the AI will kind of extrapolate like similar things to associate, like what it determines as similar. I mean, I don't have the thing, but if that makes sense. And since Demon Bitch really doesn't have anything similar to herself, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, Tariq has a point. As I said, it's kind of one of those things, like, I don't know if it would be everything that would hurt it, but at the same time, I can see why, like, the bigger companies, I could see doing it just because that's how they are. They want to make money, and they want to do it in a way that, like, they don't need to deal with people or artists or whatever or anything. Or, I mean, it's just, but when you think about it, some of those companies aren't really, as much as I don't want to sound like an asshole, because I have friends that work for some of these companies, and I will not name them. Yeah. Terribly ethical in how they deal with things anyway. So
no, 100%. Like,
do they do it just enough so they don't get sued?
Yeah. Well, I'll put DC on blast. Like, even though I love DC, and one day I wish I could work for them, like with in their sandbox of characters. Sometimes I think DC's practices are kind of messed up. Like, a friend of mine who does inking for DC released on Twitter, and this is why I'll talk about it. But he did.
It's a public thing now.
It's a public thing, but he put them on blast. He's still in contract with them, and he goes, "Yeah, I ink Batman, but as I ink Batman, I'm getting paid $6.75 an hour. Because he broke down how long it takes him to ink the pages, and he puts in like 12, 15 hours a day because of just how you know what I mean." And so his page rate is not, I mean, when you think about his page rate at first, you're like, oh, you're making great money. But then when you like realize how many hours he's spending, behind the lamp on, at his art easel, it's like, damn, that sucks. You know what I mean?
Well,
and they know this.
Rich Parada, it's funny, he was telling me about this one guy he inked for. And again, this is not for me to put on blast. This is a story I'm relating. I guess one guy was known for tracing. So he traced completely like from this other artist. And he was tracing so much, like all the heat from the light board made the pages curl as he was tracing. Because he was
my God.
It's like,
that's
ew.
horrible. That's horrible. That's horrible. And here's the thing too. When it comes down to it, I mean, there's a long history of DC and Marvel and various other publishers like Devil Do Publishing being very, just evil, maniacal bastards when it comes to creator-owned rights and art and not paying people more than the original creator and so on and so forth. So it's nothing new. So seeing if they keep progressing this AI art, I do see these corporations doing that. And that's, to me, that breaks my heart because like you get like young people today, I love comic books. I'm going to learn how to draw. I'm going to learn how to ink, or I'm going to learn how to letter. And now we get these these companies that will create these AI to where those trades are no longer needed, and it goes back to the thing like because I talked to another friend that does blue collar work in factories, and she was telling me like, yeah, well, no one complained, thought it was awesome when machines replaced, 2 of my jobs, and then she had to relearn a new trade. She doesn't do, because before she was working for Ford, but now Ford has these machines that does her job quicker. It's like the evolution, but she still works for Ford, but in a different area. At least they, retrained her or whatever. But my questions about AI and what's coming up is like, how far are they going to push this? What's going to happen? Because if you're going to kill a trade, because let's face it, like for the most part, artistry is a blue collar trade. You don't have to go to art college to become huge in art. You don't. Some do, but for the most part, you don't. Like there are plenty of people that make their comic book, go on Kickstarter, and they deliver their product to their fan base and make good money. And they've never spent one day in college. You know what I mean? So for most point, it is a blue collar trade. So I can sense why a lot of people in the blue collar arena, in comic books, advertising, and promotional work, or even doing the what's that thing when they give a movie script to an artist and he breaks it down so the director knows where to put the camera. Cell work, right? Cell work. Like you're killing a very blue collar trade that feeds a lot of families. And I can see why a lot of people are stressed about it personally, Yeah.
Now, I'm going to show you what I did here with, I'm going to use AI art in a way that has like made it advantageous to me. There you go.
Man, they couldn't even do your character.
If you wanted to see an example, I know some of you are curious. It's like, that's what happened. So as you can tell, this is the original right. Oh, hang on, I gotta go here. This is the original right here. And these are the fuckers that it generated. It like could not understand what it was doing. And it's glad I broke it. I'm happy that I break things sometimes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's freaking awesome. Now okay, so most of y'all don't know this, but back when I was getting out the Army, I worked on a small TV show that did not make it. It was a crap TV show. We only got to like, I think episode 7 or 8 out of the 13 that the network ordered. And we were like writing, and it was supposed to be a kid show. It was garbage, straight up garbage. It got canceled. Like,
It's bad.
That's how bad it was. It was like, super, super bad. Anyway, but it allowed me to get my SAG card, where I'm part of the SAG, whatever.
SAG-AFTRA, yeah.
Yeah, or Writers Guild or whatever. Anyway.
Well, there's Writers Guild and then there's SAG-AFTRA. I think it sounds like a Writers Guild, maybe you have.
Yeah, no, I got the Writers Guild. I got the card somewhere. I don't really care for it because I don't work on TV anymore. Anyway, and some of the artists that I worked on the TV show were telling me that a lot of the people from the Writers Union were like, they're rooting for the AI system. And here's why. And if it boils you, please keep the comments tame. We're just trying to listen to the other side. Understand, for the most part, me and Christy, we are artists. But from the writer's perspective, Screenwriters Guild, yes, that one, electricity. Like I said, I don't really care. It was like, at this point, 6-7 years ago. And trust me, I never released what the TV show's name, because if you guys find out, then you guys will like heckle the crap out of me for the rest of my life. It was that bad. Anyway, and when I was talking with them, they were like, they're excited, and I was like, why is that? And they're like, well, as a writer, we have to work 3 jobs, pay the artist while they work on the pages, and we're working 3 jobs. They don't come up to us to the comic tables. We pay for the tables. We pay for the promotions. They don't help us out with the promotions. And then when the comic makes it big, they get to raise their price, and we're the ones that, for the most part, put most of the money in. So from that standpoint, they're like, good. Now they get to work 2-3 jobs and work in. And I'm kind of going like, well, but you guys want a page a week, sometimes a page every 2 days, sometimes a page every 3 days. That takes a lot of time. So if you want me to draw those pages, or ink those pages, or color those pages, I'm going to have to spend it. It's got to be my primary job. So I have to make a wage for those pages. And we got in a small argument. But that's what they're saying. And I think it's like a small breakdown of where writers don't understand like the challenge of taking someone's script and making it into a piece of art, or taking someone's idea and making a piece of art that will attract someone to buy a product. It takes a lot. Like, what are people into? What kind of comic style is popular right now? What kind of coloring would work with my image? What kind of gray tones would work with this? What kind of a lot of work goes into making an art piece. It's not just like I have an idea and then I write something, or I have an idea and I just say it in a pitch meeting. Like, there's a lot of hard work that goes into creating a good advertisement, a good promotion, and a good comic or a good layout, so that for architects, so people will know what is supposed to happen, like what we're buying, what story is being told. For the most part, like when I tell people, like when you're working with a comic artist, you look at it this way. The writer is a screenwriter. The artist is the director, and he or she is placing the panels and making the reader see everything going on, and so that the brain understands and feels good and gets immersed into the world of fantasy that the comic is trying to give them. Likewise, in a pitch meeting for a commercial, you have the artist go painstakingly. Like we do this, then we do this, and then we do this, and break it down so that people will have a visual concept of what the idea is, and then change. That takes a lot of work and a lot of man hours and woman hours to produce something that may happen, 30 seconds on your TV screen or your phone screen. And so when I heard their gripe about it, I was kind of like, I think it was unfounded, because like I'm putting my life on hold essentially to make sure your dream comes true. Like there has to be compensation. At least that's my take.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think, sis?
Well, for me, you know, because people are genuinely, I think for me, it's kind of funny how people, they bitch about something and then they want something for nothing. Then they bitch about, they're the very other people that bitch about income equality and all that other shit. And they're like, no, but me. I'm like, no, you guys are fucking hypocrites. I don't give a shit. So for me personally, you know, it's like, maybe if I would probably not have an issue if you guys are bitching about income inequality and you basically, you know, don't fuck over other people. So it's like, it's just interesting as to me, the people that support it are generally the people that would have screwed over people anyway, in my opinion. So it's like, it's nothing new, to be honest.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like I'm trying to be like, oh, all the companies do that. Like there are ethical companies, but for more reasons other than not, it's this, you know.
Yeah, it's for the most part. I mean, right now at its core, the AI systems are kind of wonky. No one cares, but eventually, if they keep at it, it will get better. And that, again, that's the stress, that's the fear.
Well, I think also probably people will end up, what they'll do is that they'll end up probably going and passing, because they're currently trying to go in a mass copyright thing, which is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, because and it's a good thing that you brought this up, because so for all you artists, there's a ruling right now, because the WWE is in a huge lawsuit by a tattoo artist. So, and when she started doing the lawsuit, all the other tattoo artists did the same thing. So these professional wrestlers that got tattoos from these artists, basically they were not asked by the WWE to take the ink work to put into the video games, on the toys, and in their comic books. And if that goes through, then the copyright, because here's the thing, most people don't know this, but what was it, The Hangover, when the guy got the facial, the Mike Tyson facial tattoo, the tattoo artist sued the movie company, won the lawsuit, so they had to change the tattoo around so it didn't look the same. And if this goes through, I wonder if that's going to propel the copyrights for the AI art, because essentially it's stealing. It's not, you know what I mean? You have to put, make it look like, Van Gogh, or make it look like Jack Kirby, or make it look like Steve Ditko. Like it doesn't know that it's a computer program. A computer program is only as smart as you tell it. So for now, anyway, but so I wonder what kind of, if this lawsuit is won, I wonder what kind of repercussions these AI generated companies are going to face. You know what I mean? Because some of them you have to, from my understanding, some of them are free. Some of them you have to pay for the full service, like for the full program. And if you're like got 1 million people paying $2.99, for the full program, that's a lot of money. And and another thing someone pointed out to me too, because this was very interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but in Russia right now, in Belarus, certain artists, like certain music, certain comic book art, certain paintings aren't allowed in those countries. So if you post on Instagram right now, or make it look like Johnny Ryan, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that guy would also break the AI too. That motherfucker would too.
What's up, Apex? But But as of right now, if you post a Metallica song or if you post I forget what artist it was. I think it was very like a Captain America image right now on Instagram. For the most part, Russia and Belarus, they will not stream it in their countries. So a lot of people are going like, well, what about the countries that they can't get this art anymore? This AI art system allows people to have it, and I'm kind of going in the back of my mind. I'm like, yes, but at the same time, like eventually, I'm pretty sure their government is gonna, shut the AI portion of that down, so they don't have it. You know what I mean? So that kind of negates it, because if they're already shutting down that style of art going into their country, then it doesn't matter what the AI does. Like you don't think that Russia would, if they're already stopping that style of art going into their country, you don't think they're going to make sure that these apps don't stop doing that for those arts. You know what I mean? Okay, Doc.
Hey, Doc, what's up?
Hit the button, folks. Hammer the algorithm. Thanks, Doc. But yeah, it was kind of this week's been kind of heartbreaking seeing all this and how quick everyone just latched onto these AI things.
Well, it's like the new trend. I mean, it's kind of what it is with the internet. It's like a trend thing. And people are like, I don't know. And then it's like, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, it might be something, it might not, who knows? Because there's going to be limitations that you're going to find with the software eventually. That's it, pretty much. We'll see how it goes next. I mean, I don't know. It's just like people were all worried that this would happen, like TikTok would be the end of the world and all that. And the reason why TikTok is such a danger is like it's data mining, essentially. It's a form of data mining, and people kind of don't get that. They're like, what are they going to do with like all these like stupid ass like videos? It's like, yeah, but you put your information on there, you dumbass, Yeah. I mean, I have TikTok. I don't really use it. There's only so much of it I could fucking do with it, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes back to like the love-hate thing of social media, right? Like for the most part, I have Facebook, I have this, and I have Instagram. And that's about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting older and I'm just like, I don't care for TikTok. I don't care for the new one that's coming out. What was it? It's like Twitter, but not. I don't know. I gave it a shot.
Hive. I think it kind of died because the server died, and it's like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah, Hive was just whatever. And then, but for the most part, like, I get the stress of the AI art thing, going back to that. Like, I know as technology pushes forward, jobs change. Like here in California, what was it, like 2030? They're going to stop selling gas cars. Like they've already stopped selling gas lawnmowers, gas weed whackers, and things like that. I almost spit my drink out. You made quitting laugh.
I think I made fun of everything.
Yeah,
I don't think that's very smart of California, considering like I heard some assholes like, okay, remember when Texas had that deep freeze and they were making fun of them and saying, oh, look at all these fucking people that died, which number one, I find really fucking distasteful because you guys are assholes. Yeah. Laughed about that. B, it's like the thing is it was a once in a while thing. But here we have in California, what really sucks is that we actually also established our power grid isn't that great either. Like, especially during the summer, there's a lot of places where the power coverage is. Luckily, where I live, my power coverage is really good. So we haven't had brownouts or outages, but a lot of places in California did. So it's like, why are you fucking putting your ass up in there high and mighty over people fucking dying when we can't even manage our shit? And now you're saying, oh, we can't have gas, anything. It's like, okay, fine. Then build up the fucking power grid, assholes. And number two, one of the things I found out, the reason why there's a lot of droughts in California is that how we hydrate our ground is weird. So like, let's say, we have reservoirs and dams, right? Those itself aren't bad, but how they're constructed is that either A, they're falling apart, or B, they don't rehydrate the land. So if you were a kid and you learned about precipitation, water goes out and it evaporates up. it doesn't in a lot of areas because we haven't rehydrated our ground.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the droughts that we do. But, you know.
That and I find it's very stupid in our state that it's illegal to collect rainwater. The most dumbest thing because it's funny, when I was serving in the military, I went back to the South and I saw them collecting rainwater so they can water their grass, their plants, to keep their water bill low. And I was like, dude, that's brilliant. I'm going to do that when I get back to California. And then I was like looking on Amazon to, buy those barrels and the thing to, for when it does rain. And it says, does not deliver to California. And then it gave me the statute. It's like, if you get caught saving rainwater in California, it's like $500. Like, fine. It's crazy.
Gives a shit. They'll just think, oh, you're a crazy ass homesteader. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. But, one thing that, going back to our conversation on this AI art stuff, though, that I do find interesting is going back to the copyright thing. I mean, if this copyright infringement stuff continues to go forward, I wonder, will that impact social media too? Because a lot of user agreements, when you post your artwork online, depending on which platform it is, technically that platform now owns your artwork, unless you copyright it before you post it. I know that one. It was on Facebook for a while, and then Facebook changed their user agreement when people were like bitching about it. So I like, for instance, if you uploaded, I think it was like Photo Bucket, is the most infamous one for photographers. When you take a picture and put it on Photo Bucket, you then can't put it on your Instagram because now Photo Bucket owns it, right? Like, and they can sue you over it, which is nuts.
I think what probably is going to happen is somebody's going to counter sue.
Yeah.
Because I deleted everything off my Photo Bucket, I think.
Yeah, because when it comes to like Peach Momoko and especially Kim, because Kim passed away, and it's like, people are using this AI art to steal his style. I mean, that's probably hurting his family's residuals, I would think, right? Because
and also the thing is that, like, in what way is it actually like hurting his family? And again, I'm not saying that I would advocate that, but it's like, it's funny, in one context they're like, oh, well, we deep fake Marilyn Monroe. Oh my God, that's so great. But it's like, what about her residuals to her family and shit?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, let's just face it. Like, I going back to the publishers. I mean, I've worked with some pretty scrupulous publishers in the past that were kind of garbage. And
unscrupulous?
Huh?
Unscrupulous?
Yeah, unscrupulous. Like, they were just very, I would never go back to them. Well, it's funny because, like, the 6 that I remember that were pretty bad, 3 of them went out of business because they were just horrible business people. Mm-hmm. But, all in all, I seeing this stuff moving forward like it has is I can see why there's a huge concern. Because if people don't think that bad business people will not use this stuff to steal. I mean, it goes back to, when you go to a Comic-Con and you see people selling unlicensed art that they shouldn't be selling. I mean, remember, like, 2015, that was a huge thing. There was a lot of artists that were drawing like Spider-Man, Hulk, and not owning the copyrights to them and selling it as their own art, but it's not their characters. And a lot of people were getting pissed about it. And so they were trying to shut the booths down, So I kind of wonder, where are we going with this with the AI art now? Because I have no doubt in my mind, we, give it a few cons, we're going to see a few quote unquote AI artists. In fact, that's an actual hashtag I saw on Instagram recently about someone being an AI artist. What do you mean you're an AI artist? You just know how to use the algorithm for the AI to understand? You just know how to use a keyboard? Like, I don't understand that.
Well, some people write and they drag their fingers around, so I don't know what they're talking about either.
Yeah. And it was funny too, because like talking with the guy that I got in an argument with, that I used to work on the TV show with, he's like, well, Phil, you use an art pad. What's the difference? I was like, well, easy. The art pad, I click a button and it makes it like a paintbrush. I'm still me using the paintbrush. I click on the pad again and it looks like an ink pen, and it's still me using an ink pen. The only difference is the pad is saving me money from buying brushes, buying ink pens, pencils, graphite, paper. Like, it saves money and saves time, I'm not stealing someone's work. I'm not tracing their shit. That's essentially what these things are doing. It's and then he tried to trump me with he's like, well, in comics, don't they often do like similar, like where they like trace over each other's stuff and then they change it? I'm like, that is not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like when you're working for
people do that for time issue. I've had a couple of artists who admit that to me, but they put their own style on the artwork in there. Like they just switch over each other's poses, but they don't copy the actual artwork.
Yeah. And most artists will actually draw a character in various different poses that they think, like up to 50 different poses, and then they trace over themselves for the most part. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, sometimes people have a good idea and then everyone copies the idea. That's why sometimes when you go to the comic shop and you like look at, Marvel and DC having the same style of cover, then you realize, oh, it's just someone had a good idea and it looked cool, but this one still looks like Todd McFarlane. This one still looks like Quentin Jones. Like it's their style. It's not, posing. I mean, like we have the same story mechanisms in every story that we ever watch or read, that make the human heart, happy, sad, good. Let's see, boldcatstudios, and they give credit to the original artist. Exactly. They do. 100% they do. Anytime someone does that in the thing, they always give credit so that people will check out what the other artist did. The AI art system doesn't. It gives no credit. It does, and it steals, and then it makes sure that that people will essentially look at the art as if it was completely, popped out of thin air. Not only that, but thanks to social media and the climate of the me generation, I wonder how many of these social influencers that are trying to make it huge on social media are going to lie and be like, oh, this is my art, after they just stole from Jack Kirby.
A few people did. I think I don't know. Aaron Carter did that once. He was like, he was kind of an asshole about it too, and people got really angry at him, so he had to pay the guy. Taylor Swift was found, but she said she had no idea because it was a design house that designed her album cover, and they did come together. So they've already done that shit already. It's been said and done old times. And again, I don't think like with Taylor Swift, she really knew because you design an album. It's a design house or somebody else that actually like designs the album cover. Now, with, unless you're like basically a punk band or some musician that is more underground, then you would tend to design your covers, or you're more in depth. Like probably Ye or Dr. Dre would probably be more inclined to design because they're more into designing stuff than anything. And I'm just throwing out names because those are the names I know that probably have a first hand in their design. Gwen Stefani, I don't think she really designs her stuff. And again, people go like, oh, well, no, that's like so weird. But like when she did the Harajuku Girls line, I think it was just a bunch of designers that kind of emulated her style and just copied off of that. And again, I mean, she might have had a hand in it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, she never had a hand. It just depends on which person that's famous does it with. So, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where you can't really go and say, oh, it's like this one thing. Like for me, I draw my own books, I write my own books, but that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, some people are like, wow, you publish these books and they're really professional. It's like, well, I know how to set type and I know how to do a desktop layout for books. I understand printing matter. So, yeah.
Right. Well, when it comes to like album cover art, like, because I have a friend that still does that from time to time because he works for Sony. And the way he explained it to me is the artist will go in the studio, they'll record their stuff, and then they will listen to the album and listen to the themes of the album and try to see what is the commonality, and then they work on the image for the commonality, right, to sell it properly. That's what the promoting is, right? And then you run advertisements based off the promotion of what the cover is. And and for the most part, like that's what cover artists do too in comics. Like we read the story, we see what the story is trying to tell the reader, what's the main thing they want, and the cover is essentially a trailer or a preview of what's going to be inside the book, essentially. And when you see it lock on, it gets you excited. So then you want to check the first 3 pages. Okay, then I think I'll like it. I'm going to go buy it. Boldcatstudios. The AI art looks like it copy and paste to me. That's not really art. With art, you can be putting the effort for the work. AI looks to me a computer pretending to be an artist. Absolutely. Absolutely, Boldcat. 100%, man. It's unfortunate. And again, thanks to, Generation Zombie, I just don't understand why you would want to promote this kind of artwork and pretend like it's yours too.
It's very generic. That's why I just said it takes like the mainstream things and does a lot of other weird shit. So I'm kind of like, I kind of don't care about it. It's weird. It's like people are going like, oh, well, blah, 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 and everything. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think I like to hyper freak out about a lot of things. I think it's probably after a while.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. I really, really do hope, with my heart of hearts, that this is just a trend that just bleeds out and then disappears. And you know what I mean? Like, and that way, because like, look, there's a lot of trends that go on social media. They'll if you go on social media and you want to put a reel with your art, they'll, the algorithm tries to tell you, oh, use this song because this one's the catchy one that everyone's paying attention to make you get more likes and whatever. And me being me, I don't really care for fame, really don't. So I don't go off of what it's trying to tell me. Like, oh, if you want more likes or whatever, like, I don't need validation. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, I want to go famous so that I can show people like, yeah, I'm being an asshole. It's amazing, isn't it? It's mostly to troll people, to be honest. I'm not like, I mean, it's not in the stupid thing. Like I'm going to show my tits and I need to feel pretty about myself all the time. It's like, yeah, okay. I mean, for me, like, this is my work.
Yeah. But yeah, that's in my heart of hearts. I really hope and pray this is just a trend, that it just calms down to where these companies, they don't progress the apps any further. Just being honest, only because of the fact that, like, again, this is a blue collar trade. In comics, in TV, and movies, you need an artist to conceptualize what's being said on the paper so that people involved with the project can deliver a good product to the consumer. And, like, taking that away from people, another trade, it would hurt the blue collar crowd 100%. 100%. Like I said, I think, art is one of the few trades where you don't have to go to college to learn it. Like, I learned how to draw by looking at Ed Hardy's stuff and practicing on how to draw his style. And then when I got the muscle memory to learn how his style is, then I started learning how I can tweak it to make my own. And then I progressed from there. And then I took on a mentor who taught me how to ink and taught me how to, and it was a lot of hours, and it literally, you can teach yourself how to draw or ink an image or even paint an image. It just takes a lot of dedication. It's like, what do you really want to learn this? Just like any other trade, just like, a mechanic or an electrician, a plumber, someone laying concrete. Like, it takes a lot of hours to learn to do it properly. You just don't pick up a hammer and be like, I'm going to be a framer today and build a house. No, you got to go to a journeyman and they're going to teach you, okay, this is how you do a California corner. This is how you do a Mississippi ditch, like, and all those things in the same way in art, Yeah,
well, and also you had apprenticeships. Like when you had old legacy comics like Rex Morgan, MD, and all that, you had an apprentice artist. So when the original died, they would continue on. I don't think Schultz did that, but they're reprinting a lot of his old shit. Most likely, sooner or later, computer is going to run out of copy and paste, and they will realize AI can't replace an artist. I mean, honestly, will want different things. Like there's a niche for Demon Bitch right there. So it's like, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't find that, I don't know. I don't really find it a threat because I'm actually kind of on the outskirts anyway. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, people really love Demon Bitch for just being what it is or what she is. So I can't be all like, pissed off about it because, to be quite frank, it's not something I care about anyway. As I said, if I'd ever been asked to do Marvel and DC or whatever, I wouldn't have a problem. It's just that that's not the genre of artwork I'm looking for anyway in Marvel or DC. Like, I'm not going to go and ask for a job there. And again, it's not being shitty. It's just like, okay, I would actually go to Fantagraphics first before anything else.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like they're feeding unauthorized art. Well, of course. I mean, and that's still wrong. We're not arguing against it, but I think to be replaced, I think if you're very mainstream, then I would say, yes, there might be an issue here and there, but to replace an artist entirely, I don't think so.
Yeah, because it reminds me, I forget the guy's name, the guy that invented pop art, where like you paint dots.
There's Lichtenstein and Warhol. They were both criticized. You're going to go putting this fucking art here and you're going to fuck us up.
Yeah, well, because what they would do is they would take like Jack Kirby's art and then they'd put it on a projector and then they would project it on a screen and then they'd take a paintbrush and then not give them credit. And that's why they kept, while their artwork is selling for millions of dollars, it's like, no, that's just a repainting of Jack's work, like, which was nuts,
And there's also like, weirdly enough, some of those artists in themselves that did that, it was sort of an ironic comment on pop art itself. It's kind of, I'm not trying to be like, oh, they were all high-minded and did this, and I got to get off in a minute because I have my other show. We've got
no worries.
My other show is like Hart Fisher's on there, and he's controversial enough. And you're welcome to join us, by the way. I think I gave you the link for that one.
Yeah, no, I'll join in. That should be fun.
He's going to be a very interesting guest. But as I said, I don't think anything will completely replace him, but
yes, Roy Lichtenstein. Yes, thank you, Gwen.
Yeah, Lichtenstein. So it's like with that guy, it's like I don't know. It's interesting because they were kind of artists in their own right, but I think they were more ironical in terms of like, Warhol was kind of fucking with people when he put up the soup cans. I don't think he did that just to show, hey, look at the marketing art.
I mean. Well, okay, when it comes to like the art market, like the fine art market, and the reason why I stopped doing those types of shows when I was stationed in El Paso is, that one's a crapshoot anyway. It's like the lottery ticket, and so you never know what's gonna pop off, whatever. But for the most part, like, at least at those shows, you do get people appreciating what you're doing. And, recently, like you told me to do that online art show and it raised a lot of money for charity. And I was like, and it allowed me to feel good because I was like, dang, because there for a while, as an artist, like, man, no one's really paying attention. No one's buying my books anymore. No one's And then I did that, and it just made me feel good. It was a nice ego. It was like, oh, people actually do care about my art stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so full of shit when artists go like, well, I'm not, or comic book artists that go like, well, if I don't sell anything or make, I've just accepted the fact I'm never going to make money. And then they get all pissed off when their shit doesn't sell. I'm like, all right, whatever. I thought you didn't care. So I get people that do that. It's like, yes, you fucking care. Just admit it. Like I admit to myself, I want to get fucking rich doing it. I want to make money doing it. I want to be recognized. So guess what? I'm doing the things that I need to do it. So it's like, just don't be double-minded like that. That's the thing that annoys me about it. I mean, as I said, there's money hungry, and there's fame hungry, and there's fame whoring and money whoring. But there's a definite difference, like just being honest with yourself. Like I want to be recognized and pay well for what I do, and that's okay. Anyway, I got to jump off. I got to go for my other guests, but I will see you in a few minutes.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit